If you're wondering whether or not you should update your Nvidia driver to the latest driver 531.61, then this video is for you. So this isn't a pretty split screen comparison. This is where I did that video yesterday. In this video, I'm just going to be comparing the average FPS versus 1% lows without recording. So also another disclaimer, I do my testing on a GTX 1650 laptop. I find that for GTX results, it's pretty similar across the board, whereas if you have a RTX laptop or RTX card, I think the latest drivers are going to be more suited for you, whereas on GTX, I think some of the older drivers are actually the best. But anyways, I'm rambling. Let's get to the results. So all my games were tested at medium settings. Where FSR 2.0 or 2.1 was available, I used the quality setting. And as you can see, all the games I test are single player games. I think perhaps your mileage may vary if you're playing online battle games. But I particularly play single player games, open world, third person. And as mentioned before, I tested on GTX, not on RTX. So for the previous driver, 531.41, when I add up all the average FPS, my FPS comes to 689 over 10 games. Divide that by 10, and then my average FPS per game is 68.9. I do the same for the 1% lows, add up all the 1% lows, and then over 10 games, my 1% lows for 531.41 was 489. Divide that by 10, and then my average 1% low is 48.9. So when I divide the average 1% lows by the average FPS, it gives me a stability reading of 70.97%, which isn't horrible. You may see that this is different to my previous videos. I have changed my pool of games that I test. Okay, and then on the latest driver, which if you have a GTX card, I don't recommend. It's actually a bit of a step down from 531.41. Over 10 games, my average FPS was 684, and then when I divide that by 10, it's 68.4. So slightly worse on this new driver. And then when I do the same for the 1% lows, add up all the 1% lows, and it gets me to a total of 482 FPS 1% lows over 10 games. So I divide that by 10, and my average 1% low per game is 48.2. So when I divide this figure, the average 1% lows by the average FPS, it gives me a stability percentage of 70.47. So not a major difference, but what you can see is that 531, especially on GTX cards, is a slight step down from 531.41. So guys, if you're on RTX cards, I think that 531.61 actually is going to give you a little bit of a performance improvement, but because it's not optimized for GTX cards, you're actually getting a little bit less performance on 531.61. If you want my recommendation, the best driver for GTX cards is still 528.02, but because I've changed my pool of games that I test, I'm going to have to do my benchmarks again. So my next video is 531.61 versus 528.02, and as you can see, I've only just started testing, so that video should be out in about an hour or two. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's people like you. Enjoy your Saturday. Cheers.